In my ongoing pursuit of challenging myself to build something fun and interesting, I've decided to create the tiniest Class B fighter capable of dominating Starfield's hardest difficulty. With the smallest footprint possible, this Micro-Titan packs insane firepower. It is capable of ultra-long distance engagement, has maximum mobility, and uses the fastest engines available. The agility on display here is beyond insane, to the point where you can easily overshoot your enemies by thousands of kilometers if you're not careful while boosting. Combine that with a crew of 6 and the ability to jump to any system of your choice in 1 or 2 jumps, and you'll have a formidable pocket-sized destroyer that can devastate anything in sight. So to be clear, this is not your all-around kind of build. This Class B mini-nuke has one purpose and one purpose only: to enter the system, quickly eliminate the threat, and bail out. The trade-off comes in the form of limited cargo space. But if your goal is to stir up some chaos and blaze through at crazy speeds, cargo space probably won't be your top concern. In all honesty though, I don't roll with this ship 24/7, but whenever I get the urge to wreck some Spacer and Varun scum in the Serpentis system for experience, this is my go-to. If you feel the same from time to time, think about giving this build a shot. Alright, let's take a quick look around the inside. After passing through the landing bay and up the hatch, you'll find the crew hanging out in the ship's only hab. I chose the control station because it adds 4 crew slots, which combined with a +2 from the cockpit gives us a 6-person crew. Now, if you're not particularly keen on having that many obstacles, If you're not particularly keen on having that many people on board, feel free to swap it out for another 2x1 hab of your choice. Moving along on the right side, you'll spot the side docker. This docker isn't my top choice, but in this case, I had to go with it to stay within the boundaries I'd set beforehand. And lastly, the cockpit is located directly up at the very end. I went for the Armstrong line from HopeTech mainly because of its compact size. Yeah, the visibility isn't stellar, but since I like to fly this one in third person, it doesn't bother me all that much. So that was the rundown on the interior. It's basically just one hab hooked up to a cockpit and a docker. To build this ship, make sure to level up your piloting skill to rank 3 and Starship Design to rank 4. These are essential because without them, you won't be able to utilize the best Class B reactors, some weapons, and quite a few engines. Additionally, reaching level 60 is a prerequisite for unlocking both the reactor and one of the particle weapons from the list. However, with a slight modification, you can use a version of this ship starting from level 48, which will be covered briefly in a separate section of this video. Another important requirement is to complete the Grunt War quest from the UC faction questline. This quest grants access to one of the game's best particle weapons, the Vanguard Obliterator auto-projectors, which can be used even on Class A ships regardless of your level. For the build to truly shine, however, consider investing in the following optional perks listed in order of priority. While not mandatory, these perks significantly improve the ship's performance in the long run. So in the high priority group, the absolute must is the Particle Beam Weapon Systems perk from the tech tree. Max this out as soon as possible for a pure DPS increase for particle weapons. The next important perk is Shield Systems, also from the tech tree. It provides a straightforward boost to the ship's defenses that should not be neglected. From the Science tree, grab the Anutronic Fusion perk for additional 5 units of power that can be allocated to different ship systems. As for the medium priority perks, eventually max out the targeting control systems from the tech tree. This increases damage done to target locked enemy ships while slowing down their fire rate by 25% at the same time. Another fun perk is Engine Systems from the tech tree, which increases the ship's speed and at max rank provides additional defensive capabilities. Lastly, consider a few low-priority perks, such as Starship Engineering from the Tech Tree for faster repairs, Astrodynamics from the Science Tree for increased jump range, Ship Command from deep within the Social Tree for increased crew capacity, and Commerce from the first tier of the Social Tree. Commerce enables you to buy anything in the game for less, including ships and ship parts, while simultaneously selling everything for more. For example, without any points in the Commerce skill, this ship will cost slightly below 520k credits to make. But with a full 20% discount from rank 4, the costs are reduced to around 415k credits. Since in Starfield, you can't buy a new empty hangar slot to create a new ship from the ground up, at least not at the time of making this video, we have to resort to customizing an existing ship you already own. That can be either a hijacked ship or a brand new one, whichever is the cheapest option. For the purpose of this video, I decided to buy a new ship at my outpost. We'll be doing most of the modifications right here, as 90% of the parts we're going to use are available at this location. So in case you still haven't built an outpost with a large landing pad with a shipbuilder, make sure you do it now. All you need is an outpost beacon and a few materials. The landing pad doesn't use power, so there's really no excuse not to make one for shipbuilding purposes. After deciding on which ship to dismantle, set your home ship to the one you want to use until we are done with this beast. In case you didn't know, you don't have to fly the ship you're about to edit. Feel free to use anything you like. Time to buy all the parts. Before we dismantle our temporary ship, though, we need to hit up a couple of vendors and grab some essential parts that are missing from our outpost. Our first destination is the Valo system. Land at Hopetown on the planet Polvo, access Ship Services Technician, and choose the option to view and modify your ship of choice. Now pay attention to the Reactor class. Mine's a Class A, meaning we're limited to Class A parts. Not to worry, we'll address that shortly. Anyway, start by acquiring 3 Exterminator 95 MeV auto-helium beams from the weapons category and install them wherever you can. Unfortunately, this tedious process of jumping to different vendors and doing a bit-by-bit parts assembly is just one of the many quirks of Starfield's shipbuilder. Once your weapons are in place, you might notice this error if your reactor is Class A. Since the weapons are of a higher class than the reactor, the error informs us of this incompatibility. Thankfully, Hopetown has the exact reactor we need. To fix this easily, simply remove the existing one and install the 104 DS Mag Inertial Reactor. Make sure to assign new weapons to the new weapon group. Save your changes and proceed. Our next destination is the Sol system. Land at New Homestead on Titan, select your ship, and under Gear, choose NG-15 landing gear. Do whatever it takes to attach it to your ship without generating any errors. In my case, I was fortunate to find these already installed on the ship I chose, but you will most likely need to make some modifications to accommodate 2 of these. When you have these 2 installed, save the changes and return to your outpost when you're ready to continue. When you arrive at your outpost, the first thing you should do is choose the ship and set aside the components you just purchased. That includes 3 weapons, a reactor, and 2 landing gears. Alternatively, you can look over the parts list in the description and compare it to what is currently installed on the ship to see if there are any more matching parts you can use without purchasing duplicates. Now remove everything else and proceed to buy the following components. Underbays by Hope 4 landing bay. But before continuing though, I'll reposition the parts on the grid to make some space in the middle for the assembly process later. Under cockpits by the Armstrong 20R cockpit. For a docker, pick Hope 11 docker and flip it once to make it face the opposite way. Now let's select the fastest engines in the game. Buy 3 White Dwarf 3015 engines and set them aside. Grab 2 H10 Atlas Helium-3 tanks. We'll be using an Aurora 13G Grav drive, so go ahead, buy one, and place it on the grid. The habitat module of choice is the HopeTech Control Station 2x1. I chose HopeTech to better match the cockpit, but feel free to select any alternative that suits your preference. As mentioned earlier, if you prefer a different crew size or theme, choose another hab accordingly. The only requirement is that it must be 2x1. We have previously set up the reactor, but if for any reason you still don't have it, go ahead and purchase the 104 DS Mag Inertial Reactor and move it away from the center. Buy the 28T Defender Shield Generator, and for now, skip the structural parts and proceed directly to the weapons section. Get 6 Vanguard Obliterator auto projectors and 4 PBO 175 auto helion beams. Move them aside and return to structural parts to complete your shopping spree. Start at the top and buy 2 Horizon weapon mounts. Then get 3 equipment plates, a porthole, which must be flipped to its rear position, 1 Deimos Spine C, also flipped once, a HopeTech Nose B, flip it once so it faces the opposite direction, and lastly, buy 2 Nova wings and set them aside. Gonna leave this up on the screen for a bit in case you missed something and need to catch up. As you can see, there aren't many parts here, which is perfect for what we're trying to achieve. All that remains is to put them in their proper places, so let's get started. Take the landing bay and move it to the center. Place the cockpit on top, hooking it up to the frontal connection point. Put the control station behind it. Now attach the docker to the front right connection point of the hab. This completes our incredibly simple yet functional interior. The reactor should be placed on top of the habitat module right next to the cockpit, like this. Behind the reactor, there's a perfect spot for our Grav drive. Place the shield on the opposite side of the docker and attach it to the hab's front left connection point. The fuel tanks are next. Place one tank just below the shield on the left side of the ship and the second tank on the right side below the docker. The wings should be placed on each side of the reactor, like this. Place one engine beneath the habitat module directly behind the landing bay. The two remaining engines should be positioned behind each of the wings. Landing gears must be attached to a hab at the rear left and right connections. If done correctly, they will be located just below the top engines. Slap Deimos Spine C on top and HopeTech Nose B at the back of the Grav drive. Set up a viewing window in the rear of the habitat module by placing the porthole there. This will be your personal portal to relish the spectacle of vanquished foes. Only a few more items to go. Let's keep going by snapping two horizon weapon mounts to each side of the landing bay at the frontal connection points. Flip one of those to install it on the opposite side. Place one of the three equipment plates on top of the reactor and the other two on each of the top engines as shown. For the weapons, snap each of the three exterminators on top of the plates you've just placed. When viewed from the front, all four PBOs should be snapped to the weapon mounts we just placed on the landing bay, giving off that intimidating Oblivion's attack drone vibe. Finally, attach two Vanguard obliterators to the sides of the Deimos Spine C on top and the remaining four to the wings. Make sure that each wing houses two obliterators. And there you go. You've just built the smallest Class B ship possible, capable of facing the most dangerous threats Starfield has to offer. Before we wrap this up though, there are a few things left before we can have some fun. Let's start by enabling weapons by opening the flight check and assigning weapons to groups. The second step is to give the ship a more fitting name. Next, change the colors and start by selecting the entire ship by double-clicking on PC, or pressing the right bumper twice on Xbox. I chose a light gray for the first color, a slightly desaturated and darkened red for the second, and a near black for the third. Once again, I tried to match most of the weapons so they don't stand out too much, but feel free to choose your own palette here. And finally, assign the crew to your newly built ship. In my case, I have 6 available crew slots plus Sarah for a total of 7 people on board. 8 if you include me. It makes me wonder if renaming the ship to a can of sardines would have been more appropriate. As promised, here's what you must do to build this ship as early as level 48. To keep it simple, when you visit Hopetown, you should buy the Ion Beam H-1030 reactor, and instead of 3 exterminators, buy 4 PBO-100 auto-neutron turrets. Make sure to flip and rotate the turrets so they face forward. Install everything as shown here. Remember to add the turrets to the third weapon group. The three major differences compared to the level 60 version are a lower hull value, slightly lower DPS, and 8 less power available for the ship's systems. The build is viable even on the hardest difficulty, but you need to be more aware of the situation on the battlefield due to lower performance. Using auto turrets in the third weapon slot means one less button to press, which is great as it allows you to keep a sharp focus on enemy ships. If you want to experiment further with this build, check out our video about the best in-slot ship parts for each class. You can find all sorts of spreadsheets with relevant information, including the requirements for each part. The link to the video will be in the description below. While big ships are cool and all, flying a small fighter is a unique experience in itself. You can quickly learn how to be aggressive and take the initiative, which is exactly what this ship excels at. Let me know in the comments which ships you prefer. Are you more inclined to have a personal fleet of various specialized spacecraft, or do you lean towards rolling with a single large spaceship designed to handle everything? Wait, hold up a second.
The prettiest lass you ever could meet. Fly, my middies, oh fly.
Listen up. I have a bit of time and I need to talk with you about some things. I won't waste your time, so please don't waste mine. Stop by soon. Thanks.
Hopefully you found this video useful and maybe even learned a thing or two. If you did, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe, and share it with others. Also, be sure to turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss our next video. We really appreciate your support. Anyway, thank you for watching. Until next time, have a great day and a ton of fun.